Full Service Radio is proudly supported and hosted by Simplecast, the easiest way for a podcast creator to publish and distribute audio on the internet. For more information, visit simplecast.com.
Full Service Radio.
Peace, everyone, and welcome to the Edible Activist Podcast. I'm your host, Melissa L. Jones, broadcasting live from the lobby of the Line, D.C. This podcast is where dynamic people of color in the food and agriculture space share their personal food journeys, passions, and perspectives that stem from the land, all exemplifying the spirit of activism in their own edible way. Let's get started.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy Chris from Afro Beets, back at it again, and you're listening to the Edible Activist Podcast, broadcasting live from the Line, DC on Full Service Radio. I have been taking over for your host, Melissa L. Jones, for the month of July, which actually ends today. This is it, y'all. My time hosting this podcast is coming to an end, but please don't cry. I know. I'm going to miss you too. I'm so grateful to Melissa and everyone who has lent me their ear during this past month. I've learned so much. Oh, look at me already getting choked up. I've learned so much from the past guests we've had on the show, and I hope you have too. But if not, that's okay. I got you. Because on today's solo episode, I want to take a look back on some of the biggest takeaways from the past 6 episodes or so. That you'll need to know to live your best life. So sit back, grab your cold pressed juice, take some notes, and peep this game. So let's get right into it. So when I first started hosting this podcast, my first episode started with episode 38 with Kamora Brock, who taught us radical self-love. And to me, that was very powerful, very influential. You know, loving yourself so much that you are able to make other people feel uncomfortable, to be honest. You know, it's not oftentimes we often are told that, you know, you need to step back. You need to not feel yourself so much, like humble yourself. But I like how Kamora came in here and talked about, you know, loving yourself through the mind, through the body, through the spirit. So touching on those 3 things, the mind, you always want to make sure you are feeding yourself with things that are beneficial to you. You don't need to be hanging around, you know, negative people who are putting negative thoughts in your mind. You need to be feeding your mind with things that are helping you. So if somebody puts something in your mind and says you're not good enough, you know, you need to think about separating yourself from those people, you know, really thinking about the people you want in your space. The body, what are you putting into your body? What are you know, feeding yourself? Are you feeding yourself junk food? Does that, maybe it makes you happy in the beginning, but over time that decays your body, that doesn't bring you the nutrients you need. You know, food is, you know, a visual representation of self-love. If you're not putting the right things in your body, are you really loving yourself? Are you really living to your highest potential with yourself? The spirit, like what energy is around you? You know, what are the type of people you have around you? You know, they say the 5 most people you hang out with, that's who you become, and that's from energy. What kind of entrepreneurial like status does people have around you? Are people trying to do something better with their lives? Are they complaining, or are they looking for ways to reach out and, you know, find better ways to solve the world's problems? I loved from this episode how Kamora went and gave us an example of how you could show self-love. I like the example of how she said she would sing songs to herself, you know, love songs, ballads, you know, put some Luther Vandross on, put some Marvin Gaye on, and then sing those songs like you're singing it to somebody you love, but sing it to yourself. And I think that's super important. One, it gets you out of your comfort zone, and it makes you realize, you know, you're worth it. You're worth being loved. You're worth being cared about. She also mentioned, like, when you truly love yourself, you become the source of energy for everything. You're never lacking anything. True love of self means loving yourself so you can love everything and everybody around you. Because when you love yourself, your cup is full and you have more to give to everybody else. So that's what I learned about radical self-love from the first episode. The second episode, the following week, we had award-winning Chef V on episode number 39, who taught us, put all your spices on the counter. She said, put all your spices on the counter. We, as a people, as a human race, have to go back to taking control of our kitchen, taking control of our health. I feel like now, because everything is so accessible, we have all these fast food, we have all this junk food in the stores. Most of the stores are now made up of like a bunch of processed foods. And we can't rely on these companies to feed us, because the companies are just trying to hit their bottom line. They're just trying to make money off of us. And the health of our cells is the last thing on their mind. So you have to take control of your kitchen. You have to realize you have the power. We're not that far away from cooking everything from scratch. When our grandmothers were in the kitchen, Thanksgiving, Christmas time, they used to throw down. They used to really bring out all the stops to make sure that food had love, that food had substance, that food had nutrition. We're not too far away from that, y'all. We can bring it back. And you start by looking in what you have. Build around what you have. Just because you decide to live a healthier lifestyle doesn't mean you have to give up the foods you grew up with. If you choose to do a plant-based, fine. If you choose to eat more greens, fine. But don't forget the spices, the flavors, the culture you grew up with, because that's what makes food special in the first place. That's what provided everything we need to sustain ourselves, to sustain our families, to sustain our communities. And there's more resources than ever before to really, change your diet, to change your ways. We have the internet with us. We have all these different technologies, these plant-based substitutes. If you say, I'm going to try to cut down on meat, do it. There's so many different, alternatives out there. You can look at a company like Beyond Meat, Gardein. It's so many companies out there. Just make sure you are taking control of your kitchen and putting your spices on the counter. On episode 40, we chatted with Kendra Hazel of Green Things Works, who reminded us to have a plan. A lot of people, talk a big game. They talk about how they want to make a change. They talk about, I want to start growing this. I want to start growing that. I can't tell you how many people have come to me and said, Christian, I would love to do what you do, but, I don't have the resources. I don't have the space. I don't have the money. I don't have the time. Like, that's all excuses. First of all, if you really are about it, you're going to make a plan. You're going to put something in front of you that will allow you to really get the gist of what's going on in your house, what resources you have, and what you can do to help yourself. We need to create steps and processes to, think of our wellness goals. So if you're trying to lose a certain amount of weight in the gym, you need to set aside a calendar. You're going to say, I'm going to do these exercises in the gym, and I'm going to track my results. Because if you're not tracking something, then you're really not getting the results that you need out of it. So if you're saying, I want to eat healthy, you first have to define what that means. What does it mean to eat healthy? Do you want to lose weight? Do you want to have more energy? You need to track everything. I remember in episode 40, Kendra was saying how she kept a food journal, and she would literally track everything she eats. So if you're into like counting calories, do that. Track everything you eat. Do it in any form you like. You don't have to write it. You can draw it out. You can make a little note. You could take a picture. Like, there's so many ways to do it. Create that grocery list and understand what's actually in your kitchen, because you never know what you can use in your kitchen if you're constantly buying new foods. I know I'm guilty sometimes of really going out and buying stuff I already have in the kitchen because I didn't check what was in the kitchen. So that's wasting money, and that makes it a lot harder to live a healthier lifestyle. So really look at what you have in the kitchen and build around that. A lot of foods, a lot of cultural foods can be built around specific ingredients. So if you have specific ingredients, say you have like, you have a bunch of limes, you have avocado, like that's a Mexican, fiesta. Like, that's a Mexican like night you can have. That culture is rooted in those types of foods, and so build around what you already have. Like, it doesn't have to be complicated, it doesn't have to be expensive. Look at people that you like, you enjoy, and build around them. Build around what they're doing and understanding what they're doing. I know Kendra also said, she took charge of her life and the food she brought by going out and looking at the resources around her. She applied for, plots of lands with the Department of Parks and Rec. And now she grows her own food. And she might not have the space, the quote unquote space, but she found space. And there's plenty of space in the DC. There's so many empty plots. There's so many different areas that you can go out and look for. And so if you really about it and you really want to make a difference, go out and look at people who are growing their own food, are cooking their own meals, and replicate what they're doing. The blueprint is already out there. You just have to find your own way. And so those are the first three. I'm going to go ahead and take a little break here, and I'll come back and give you like my last three takeaways, and we'll be right back. You're listening to Full Service Radio, the Edible Activist Podcast.
You're listening to Perfect Day, produced by Artist Authentic. For more of Authentic's work, visit allornothingstudios.com.
All right, y'all, we're back. You're listening to the Edible Activist Podcast. This is Chris from Afro Beets, and I just came through. This is my kind of last episode I'm doing for the month. Melissa's going to be joining you guys back next week, but I just wanted to give you guys some of the takeaways, some of the key things that could help make your life better that I learned through my little tenure here with the Edible Activist Podcast. So the next episode and takeaway I want to talk about was from episode 41. And episode 41 allowed us to discuss food culture through an international lens. I actually didn't do this interview. Melissa came back. She kind of snuck in and did this interview. But it took place with ladies from Dine Diaspora, who taught us that food is the key to unlocking our heritage. Food is the key to unlocking our heritage. So food can be used to create ties to our lost history. It allows you to become a more authentic person. That's a big reason why I started my journey. When I wanted to find more about my culture, find more about my background, I felt so overwhelmed by all the information out there. And I just needed to focus on one thing, and food is a great way to do that. I feel like people are more willing to share when it comes to food. I feel like, it can be, but it's not as politicized as maybe some other areas when it comes to culture. But food is a great equalizer. You can always sit down and eat with somebody, no matter, what you believe, like what your interests are. And so from this episode from Dine Diaspora, they were talking about their heritage and how, they lived in Ghana and how they moved to America and how that transition was, very difficult for them. But through culture like food, they're able to now embrace, the African diaspora as a whole through these events that they put on. And they're bringing so many people out to experience, their culture more. And I love that because, you don't have to read up on something. You can taste something and feel the culture within it, feel the diversity, the richness within a dish. And the diaspora is like so diverse. You know, you lean into who you are when you take action. So the diaspora, you can have so many different components. Like if you want more Caribbean foods, you can go and eat like Jamaican food. You can, you know, there's Afro Latinos. You have the Dominican food. You have, you know, African food. You can have the flavors of West Africa, East Africa, you know, Ethiopian food. So, you know, Africa is a continent. It is not a country. There's so many ways you can, you know, explore, you know, just like thinking of a thing, like when I go out and go to like an Ethiopian restaurant and have injera, like I'm getting so many different flavors all on one plate. You know, I'm learning how to eat different ways. You know, I'm learning about outdoor cooking. If I'm doing like Jamaican cooking, I'm learning about the jerk season. I'm learning about the allspice, you know, which is a culture crop. I'm learning about the the Scotch bonnet pepper, which is also a culture crop. And, you know, it's just a way to like go back. It's a way to meet people. It's a way to discover. And so I embrace you to keep exploring, to keep traveling, to keep looking for that next thing that could be your next meal, that next, you know, heritage that you can explore. Next, we have episode 42. And episode 42 brought us the farming ninjas who taught us that agriculture is hip hop. The mentality of hip hop is how we should be getting people excited about food in general, because hip hop agriculture is all about growing the community. Just like hip hop, you know, there's this kind of like griminess to like growing your own food, this kind of like grassroots ambitious flow that goes with growing your own food. If you're constantly out there putting yourself out there, you know, going against the grain, you know, not settling for what the world has to offer, but growing something of your own, that's hip hop, that's culture. Doing something that you love to do. And we have the hustler's mentality to do stuff like grow our own food. It's in our DNA. You know, we are the masters of the land. We have the heritage that brought us back. The people who came before us, our ancestors, we built this country. We are the ones that sowed the seeds within the land. We're the ones that harvested everything. So it's already a part of us. So we just have to get back to it. And as soon as we get back to it, we'll really realize, you know, the power within ourselves. The possibilities are endless. I can't tell you like how I felt when I was able to create life, when I was able to grow my first radish in that garden that I started, you know, a few years ago. It like changed everything for me. It created an atmosphere where I feel confident enough to know that if everything goes to like shit, like the world goes bad and, you know, we're struggling with the food and, you know, it's a story every other week that there's some kind of disease in our food or there's something wrong with how it's being prepared. And so we need to take charge. If you're not knowing how to grow your own food, or at least sourcing people who are growing your food, you're putting yourself at risk. Let's be honest. Let's not sugarcoat it. You know, as, you know, our climate and our ecosystem gets more endangered and, you know, we can't rely on others to do for what we can do for ourselves. That's basically what I got from that. And that's the spirit of hip hop. You know, hip hop started from, you know, a people in the struggle, of people who were looking for a way out to do something with their lives. And that's what I think growing food is about. We don't have to like limit our gifts and our natural abilities. Start doing everything. Start doing everything. If you have even a slight interest in something, explore it, figure it out. You know, I don't like this mentality that we can only do one job or you should focus on one thing at a time. Like, no. You can do whatever you want to do if you're willing to put in the time, if you're putting the work, and it naturally aligns with who you are. Why not go for it? Honestly, I think about it like this. Like, you're honestly being selfish. If you're holding your gifts back and not showing the world, you have something of value to offer the world. It's almost selfish not to explore that, not to give that away. And so just start. Use what you have and just start, because just like hip hop, agriculture, is hustle. Just like hip hop, agriculture is heart. Just like hip hop, agriculture influences everything. And last but not least, we have episode 43 with the Plant Daddy, who taught us negativity is crippling. Remember who you are. You have a gift, a mindset, an idea that only you can bring to the world. Remember who you are. Just like Mufasa said to Simba in that I knew I was going to get a Lion King reference here. Remember who you are. Okay, you come from a strong people. You come from a people who, despite the odds, was able to influence everything, was not only able to survive, but thrive through their activism, through growing their own food, through cooking their own meals, through whatever it is, it's already in you. We want to see your gifts, and whether you're exploring that through your edible activism, whether you're growing your own food or not, please don't hold back. Give it all you got. What do you want for yourself? Not for what others want from you. What do you want from yourself? If you want to go out and you say, I want a jungle in my house, start. Get that plant. Get that soil. Start them seeds. Get it going. If you have an idea and you want to be a chef, you want to go out there and cook, start sketching out your ideas. Ideas don't cost anything. Ideas will make way for your ambition. You just have to start. So go and take what is for you. Once you wake up, don't say I can't. Tell yourself how you can. Okay, because those negative thoughts are going to cloud your judgment every time. It's always going to be an internal battle, to be honest with you. You're always going to have people who say, you can't do that, or don't do that, or you just have to block it out. You have to ignore them. You have to come strong. I want people who are proud, who are happy, who are positive. I want you guys to be louder. If you see somebody putting something on themselves that's negative, they're putting themselves down, be like, no, man. Don't say that. Like, you can do it. You can do it. We have to be louder with our positivity. We have to be louder with what makes us special. If you feel a little cocky one day, you feeling yourself, go ahead and be cocky that day. Feel yourself that day, because the world is like a great equalizer, okay? You can do it. Tell yourself you can. And yeah, that's it for today. I didn't know I was gonna come in here and start preaching. I had a little moment there for a second, but I know this won't be the last time y'all hear from me. Feel free to hit me up on Insta at Afro_Beets. If you ever have any questions about indoor gardening, the plant-based lifestyle, or you just want to say hi, reach out. I love to talk to people who are looking to grow and better our community each and every day. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. And remember, as I feel like Melissa would say, there is no culture without agriculture. Talk to you later, fam.
Tuning in.
Peace.
We are here live on Full Service Radio every Wednesday at 11 a.m., where you can catch today's episode on fullserviceradio.org, as well as iTunes and Spotify. Be sure to follow me at Food Talks in Color on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Are you an edible activist? Sure you are. Come join me on the show. I would love to feature you. Just shoot me a DM on the gram. Peace and blessings all. And remember, there is no culture without agriculture.
Thanks for listening to this program on Full Service Radio, broadcasting and recording from the Line Hotel in Adams Morgan, Washington, D.C. Full Service Radio programming can be accessed live and archived on fullserviceradio.org. Our talk programming is available on most podcast apps like iTunes and Stitcher, and our DJ sets are available on mixcloud.com/fullserviceradio. Full Service Radio features over 30 weekly shows and over 50 local hosts covering every topic imaginable. If you want to be a guest or get involved, email us at info@fullserviceradio.org. Follow us on Twitter at FullServiceRDO, on Instagram and Facebook at Full Service Radio. Thanks for listening.